Yes, and we're live. It is day 4. But before then, I even start to say anything. I want to start with this quote, which I don't think I've even been able to wrap my head around it completely. But this is what I want you to take away from today. The brain doesn't forget, and the body keeps its score. The brain doesn't forget, and the body keeps its score. Hello, how are you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is you're joining us from. I'm Amina Isma'il, and yes, it is day 4. Yes, we've done 1, 2, 3, and this is day 4 of our 10-day live series. So, what we come to talk about, and we're going to be doing the whole of next week, Monday till Thursday, probably. Yeah, Thursday, because on Friday we do have a class. And I could come up and talk to you on Friday before the class. Why not? But yes, why we're doing this, because we're preparing for our 2-day workshop, a discipline workshop. And you come in thinking, oh, I want to come and learn how to, should I flog him on the right side or I flog him on the left side? Or what are the exact words I should say when I'm speaking with my son? But oh no, you will realize that it is not just a discipline workshop. It is a workshop that will take you back to where it is you're coming from. That'll take you back to your childhood. Because I do not believe in coming. I can give you the tools, gentle parenting, say this, don't say that, hug him in the morning and afternoon, but that will not do the work. The work is in going back to the roots and understanding where the problem came from, and understanding your childhood, and understanding all of those silent things that you were told, all of those things that to you didn't matter. It just made you feel uncomfortable. No, it didn't just make you feel uncomfortable. Your brain never forgot. Your body kept the score. Yes. So I'm sure you can't remember when you were flogged. For those that got flogged when they were small, you can't remember. Like it was, they needed to correct me, and that was why they flogged me. But trust me, your brain remembers, your body remembers, your nervous system remembers, and that's why you get triggered when your children, particularly your boys, because I'm a boy advocate. That's why you get triggered when you hear your child cry, because there's something that is in you that gets awakened when you hear a loud voice, when you hear someone raise their voice, when you hear your child crying. It's not normal. When a child is crying, the child needs attention, and what we're supposed to do is ask, compassionately and calmly and gently, like the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did time and time again. But it's difficult for us to, and it's not your fault. I get it. It's a struggle. You tell yourself that you will not do it. You tell yourself tomorrow you'll be a lot more compassionate. You'll be a lot more empathetic with your child. And then you go and do the same thing again. It is because your brain never deleted it. Your brain never deleted those scoldings that you got. Your brain never deleted the yelling that you were yelled at. Your brain never deleted the hitting. No, your body didn't, and your nervous system didn't. And so rather than react, rather than respond to your child, your body is used to reacting: flight, fight, freeze. It will do one of those three, or it will try to please. So that's what your body remembers, and that's why you're passing that on to your child, rather than sitting and being able to ask him, even in the midst of all of the hula baloo that is happening. He's screaming, you have work to do, you have to go to school, and he's screaming. There is a way you can actually stay calm and ask, what exactly is the problem? How can we help you? How can we move past here? But no, you're like, okay, just like I said yesterday, you're crying, right? Let me give you something to cry about. And then you go for that and hit him, or you scold him again on top of the cries that he's crying, and you're unable to see the pattern. But I'm telling you that there's a pattern. That's your body. That was the same way your body reacted when someone scolded you, someone screamed at you, and that's all your body knows. And so we're here to do some form of rewiring, some form of working on our systems to understand that this was what happened to us as children, and that's why we need to heal from it. You need to heal from it so that we don't repeat the same damage to our children, to our sons, and to our children generally. Because whatever it is we're going to be teaching you, it applies to both genders. This is discipline. It's actually like, okay, it's just that boys have some peculiar, there are some peculiarities in their nature that may make them more prone to getting that side of you, that side that is constantly, flight or fright and all of that. It is because they are generally and naturally wired to be very, very impulsive, very, very, they love to move a lot, they love to climb things, they love to explore. And because of that, we are just constantly in that place where our parents never really, were able to calmly correct us. We were able to, just take us through that phase, and even first of all see that it's a normal thing for a child to be jumpy, and a child, it was branded as abnormal, it was branded as there's something wrong with you, it was branded as, why can't you sit down like your sister? And so because of that, we saw that even though it didn't happen to us sometimes, it was our brothers, but we heard it and we find ourselves repeating it with our sons because we were girls. So okay, maybe we're the okay, you keep everywhere tidy, and your brother was constantly being yelled at, your brother was constantly being, you internalize that is how boys are, and it's okay, so it is your job to make it right, and you find yourself doing it with your son. So are you seeing how there's so many ways these things just got us all messed up? And then once again, you will come and we sit and have a conversation, and then you say, no, I don't need to learn anything parenting, I'm okay, I'm fine. But are you really okay? Are you really fine? Sorry about that. So your nervous system constantly goes into survival mode, and that's what happens in their own nervous system too, when you come with screaming and shouting. And so they're not learning respect at that point. They're not learning what to do when there's a problem. They are just learning that the love you have for them is conditional. The love you have for them is not unconditional. It's only when they behave right, and then they should be afraid of you. That's what they're learning. They should be afraid of you. But trust me, that fear doesn't last for long. Yes, they have internalized fear, but the fear of you they might outgrow that fear for a bit where they start being rebellious, but inside of them remains a constant fear that will never go away except they get healed. So they will be scared of trying new things, they'll be scared of making mistakes, they'll be scared of anything that looks a little out of that looks out of their, like they're going out of their comfort zone. They'll be scared because that was the fear you put into them, that if they're not behaving a certain way, that way that for you is the what's it called, is the approved way, that particular manner, then you have no business with them. When they are done misbehaving and they come back to that's like, how do we put it in chemistry, that stable standard temperature and pressure, then you will be their mom again. But can you see how twisted this is? Because the love a child understands is unconditional love. And that is what it is. It's very difficult because it only Allah that gives unconditional love. But it is almost impossible for us. But trust me, we can work towards it. But we'll have to start with healing ourselves. So today we literally are going to look at all of the pain that, all of the hidden wounds that we create in our children, everything. So let me give you examples, because let me drive you home with examples. So you have your son gets, because I hear that. I talk to schools a lot. Yes. And, your son fought or your son hit someone, and then you come to school and maybe they're telling you that, okay, they may need to suspend him for a bit. He needs to go home and just think about his behavior and all of that. And then you, rather than the first thing that comes to you is to take him home and firstly beat him up first. How could you have done that? And then you smacked him and then you beat him and then you said, you should never do that again. We don't beat in this house, we don't hit other people. So you've taught him, let me tell you the three things you've taught him. You've taught him, one, you're saying what you don't mean. So what you're saying is different from how you're acting. We don't beat in this house. Why did you beat someone? Yet you're beating him and telling him and asking him why he beat someone. Can you see that? Can you see the contradictions? The second thing you're telling him is he should, because he didn't tell you what you didn't even give him the space to say what. Probably he was being bullied and that was why he beat someone. Probably he misunderstood the situation and that's why he just, couldn't control himself and he ran to hit someone. Probably, there could be so many reasons, but you didn't even give him that space to express it. You just went ahead and hit him too and told him that you don't hit in this house. So that's why you're punishing him. But the second thing you told him was that, whenever someone hits you, you should keep quiet about it. You shouldn't do anything about it, because you didn't really teach him anything to do. You just told him you shouldn't hit someone. So you didn't tell him what he should do. So you told him that whenever it is something is wrong with him, he should keep it, he should suppress it. And can you see how a lot of our men are struggling with that today? Can you see the connection? The fact that they have been groomed, they have been raised to believe that whenever there's a problem, just keep quiet about it. You're a man, you shouldn't lose your cool. But this cool somehow finds a way of getting lost. Like when it's like a pressure cooker, and when it explodes, it's really bad. And that's why a lot of times, if some of you can, maybe with your fathers or even with your husbands or something happens and you're like, that reaction, like, I didn't believe I'll get that reaction from you. And even some of us, we struggle with that at home too. Maybe our children do something and then the reaction is so huge, like so What exactly, before you know it, the child's like, what exactly happened here? You're about to say like kila mu kila ju, like kila shake. Okay, now I cannot remember it in its exact terms, but it's almost like what happened to have caused such a huge reaction? Why? Why is that explosion? It happened because we were never taught how to manage our emotions. We were never taught how to, how to deal with it in a healthy way. So basically, that's it. So, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us that we should give excuses over and over and over again. But it's hard for us. We want to for our children, but we do not know how to. The third thing you taught that child is, the first thing I said was you taught him that violence is the key. Violence is what to do when it is that you're in trouble. The second thing you taught him is that he could also suppress and not do anything about it. He's a man and he should keep quiet and all of that. But what you didn't teach him was, one, the right way to handle your emotions. So when something happens, when someone, you know, um, offends you, when someone actually, because he most probably was offended, and even if he wasn't offended and he got into a fight and it was all his fault, but you should still teach him that when you don't feel right, this is how you handle your emotions in a healthy way and not just take it out on people. So that what you didn't also teach him was that you're here to listen to him. You're here, whatever it is, even when he's wrong, you are still his mother. You're here to train him. So you know what they say, do not throw the baby with the bathwater. These days, what we do, we throw the baby, we throw the water away, we throw the bowl away, we throw it all away. But that is not what our children want. The ones, yes, they will do things wrong, but how are we correcting them? How are we guiding them? So the second thing you told him that, no, I'm not your safe space. Whenever it is there's something wrong, you go out there, you find someone else, but not me. I'm not going to deal with all of this rubbish. I'm not going to deal with. So basically, you're saying, I'm not going to deal with you as a child. You need to wait. I need to wait till you're grown up and you can have sense. Because the truth is, while our children do some of those things, it's difficult for them to actually pause and think. It's because their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed till they're about 25. But it doesn't mean we should wait till 25 for us to now start to interact with them. It also doesn't mean that we should wait till 25 for us to teach them the right things to do. They are children and their brains are like sponges, alhamdulillah. So they can actually learn these things, but they will learn it from you, and they will learn it because you have taught them. But when you're not teaching them, how do you want them to learn? So these are some of the things. So these are the three things you taught him, about violence, about suppressing everything he feels, about knowing that you're not his safe space and all of that. So can we see how, instead of in a bid to want to raise our sons, in a bid to want to do well by them, we actually ruin them. And this can come back in so many, oh subhanallah, it can come back in so many ways as an adult, so many ways. Sometimes some of the physical illnesses we feel, trust me, they are as a result of childhood trauma. Some of the discomforts we feel, some of the fears we feel, it's as a result of the fear that was put into us right from when we were children. And I'm not speaking from a place of, oh, I've got it all figured out. I'm speaking from a place of someone who also dealt with a lot of fear of everything, fear of this, fear of that. Name it, I was scared of it. But I've been able to see the connection between what it was, how I was parented, and what it is I'm doing now. And I'm like, no, every day I wake up to do what it is that I'm doing, which is sharing something with you, which is talking to you. It is me going against that fear and saying, no, not anymore. You have kept me down for how many years? Why should I still stay back there? But more importantly, I do not want my children to go through that same fear. So I'm literally fighting those battles today so they do not have to. They're seeing me talk about it. They're seeing me, replay it to them. They're seeing me become it. And so even though some things outside might cause that fear to them, but they will remember how it is I stood up and I rose to the occasion and I said, no, I was going to fight this fear all my life. They saw me struggle to fight the fear. And that is what I am welcoming you to at this workshop. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about those things that are scaring us. And we're going to answer, like, go back deep and see the connection between a statement that was made, either by a parent, another adult in our life. Sometimes it's even teachers who are supposed to be nurturing us that say these things to us and just help make us get into that place of fear. Or it could be a bully, or it could be someone, a colleague at work. It's not like, as adults, even as adults, we still go through trauma. We still go through different things that actually leave an impression on us. So a lot of times, Okay, so there's a quote that says that boys who are constantly criticized for their natural energy and impulsiveness often develop deep-seated beliefs that they are fundamentally flawed. So sometimes it's not even in the things. Yesterday we talked about, I think it was on Monday we talked about the things you tell your child being their the inner voice when they grow up, that the things you tell your child today will become their inner voice when they become adults. But sometimes I also put it to you now that it doesn't even necessarily be the words that you say, it may be the way you react, maybe the way you hit them, but you're generally showing them. It may be in the things you say, like sit down, stop, leave that place. You're constantly slow. Why are you late? The last person to leave the house every day, and all of those things we say them without necessarily even helping them manage their time properly. So we claim we're teaching them time management by constantly scolding them, but does that really teach them anything? So when we constantly say those things to them, they're developing that deep-seated belief that they are flawed, that they are fundamental, not just fundamentally flawed. So they are flawed in a huge way. How do you expect that person to actually live to his full potential? And that's what's happening to a lot of us today. We're just there being comfortable, because okay, like I always go back to the fact that we look good, we're wearing good clothes, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're looking all fine and all glam. But inside of us, what's happening inside of you? Are you battling with fear? Are you battling with the number one thing, the main things that brings to fore the problems we have is our relationships, is our marriages, it's our children. These are the things. That's when you really see it, because it's a mirror to where we are. Everything we do outside of our home, a lot of times, it's very few people who have come, to their full, how do I put it, come to actually be able to say, oh, I can be the way I am at home is the way I am here is the way it's a struggle for a lot of us. And so when we're really in our true selves is when we are with our children. Yes or yes? Yes. When we are with our spouses. And that's why the things people remember you for everything good. But what your spouse and your children say of you, that's the most important. Because it wasn't the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who said that the best amongst you is those who is best to their wives. And I flip it around and I ask mothers and women and even fathers, so the best amongst you is the one who is best to their family. Is the one who is best to their family, not best to their boss, not best to their friends, not best to to their yeah, it's the one who is best to their family. So what are you showing? What are you showcasing? What are you showing your children? How patient are you with them? Where is even that understanding that this is an age appropriate behavior? Where is that understanding that, okay, a child that, is struggling to go to school, he doesn't wake up early, he's really slow, is that child is struggling with some things. Maybe he's not a morning person. Do you even understand that, okay, teenagers, it takes, like, they need more sleep time, and that's why school time doesn't work for them. Honestly, school time is a difficult time for them because they need more time to sleep, because their brain is constantly developing. It's like their body is doing so much, a lot of hormones and all of that, everything is so much is being formed in their body. And so it gets their body stressed out. And that's why you struggle to wake your teenagers in the morning, because of that growth spot, that growth that is taking place rapidly. Cells are dividing rapidly in their bodies. And so this is a time where you're supposed to be more understanding and say, okay, I know it was hard, but this is what you tell yourself. I'm struggling this morning to wake up, but I know I have to get to school. Are you affirming them? Are you giving them those tools to help them, so that maybe tomorrow might be better than today? Or you're constantly hitting them down, constantly build. So discipline builds, it doesn't break down. So what we do is that we break down our children all in the name of teaching them, of trying to discipline them. But in reality, discipline is teaching. And I'm going to be able to show you that in the workshop. Just enroll for this class, just enroll for the workshop, and you'll be able to join us, and you'll be able to understand the difference between what we do and what real discipline is. What we do in our homes, what we do with our children, and indeed what discipline is. So I want you to understand that, see, most times when you see that your child is compliant, oh, sit down, he sits down, oh, stand up, he stands up. He's just being compliant. It's not really developing his character. And that's why a lot of us, till we see Carota or till we see last what's the one in Lagos? I can't remember the one in Lagos. But any all of these agencies, we don't do the right thing. We're ready to beat traffic. We're ready to, just cut the other person. We're ready to cut corners, even at our places of work, except there's a check. But it doesn't have to be that way. So our character wasn't really built. We just were we just were made to be compliant. Oh, I'm doing it because, that's the two-faced thing we're talking about 2 days ago. We're doing it because I have to do it. So basically, that's what the way we discipline our children, that's what we're telling them. That you don't have to respect authority, just fear authority. You don't have to be honest, just be sneaky. Because when someone is scared, the person will do it when you're not there. But when you're there, the person will do it, whatever. The person will not do it when you're there. But the moment you turn your back, the person gets to do that same thing that you said they shouldn't do. So is that respect, or that's just the person being sneaky? Is that being honest, or the person is being sneaky? So when you catch a child lying, a lot of times you should ask yourself, yes, there's age appropriate lies, where they lie because they're trying to just save their head or just trying to test and explore. But when it's moving to, it's something that is really done quite often, you should ask yourself, is there something I'm doing that is making this child not be able to come to me and actually tell the truth to me? So you're not teaching them honesty, you're teaching them to be sneaky. Even things like, what's it called? People pleasing, which I suffered from a lot. Before I have been, thank God, no, you won't find me there. I'm able to say no with my full chest these days. It was a problem for me, very difficult. And if I didn't work on it, I was going to be teaching my children to be a people pleaser too, to be people pleasers too. But imagine today, my son was able to tell me just before he went to school today that there was some, because they're in new class, it's a new session in Nigeria here. They're in a new class and they are all just getting to know new faces. So they are all just getting to know each other, because sometimes people from other schools, from other schools come in. So they are all getting to know each other. And guess what he said? He said there's this boy in his class, because he's bigger than him. He thinks he can, and he doesn't copy notes. And he wants to ask him for his notes, and he's not asking nicely. And he just told him he should stand up and go and get his note for him. And he was like, no, I'm not going to stand up and get my note because you're not asking nicely. And then what did he say? He said again, I think he said he's just being mean, and he said some quite unnice things to him. And then he told him that I think he said he was not okay. And then my son said, if you think I'm not okay, then you should get me money and take me to the hospital. And then I was like, subhanallah, my children have grown. Honestly, I knew where this same boy was. Like, it took me a lot of work on myself, or else that boy wouldn't have been able to stand up to that bully. I told him, I'm sure you know that this is also, you have identified, we have talked about it, that this is a bully. And we have talked at home, how to react when someone bullies you. And sometimes you don't even need to sit down and say, okay, this is a bully, because it's not like we said it over and over and over again. No. But the thing is how you relate to them, how I'm able to allow them to tell me no, how I'm able to allow them to question me sometimes, how I'm able to, my kids can tell me, Mama, you promised us that you're not going to raise your voice, and you're raising your voice here again. And sometimes when I'm on that spree of raising my voice, and then maybe a day or two after, someone raises the voice at home, and I'm like, okay, why are you screaming at your brother? They were quick to remind me that, Mama, but remember you scolded me, you screamed at me 2 days ago. So are you creating that environment for your children, or you're being the Lord, the everything, and because of that, they can't even talk to you? So this was just this morning before my son went to school, and I affirmed him again, because I saw that even though he was able to stand up to the bully, he still felt bad. And so I was able to affirm him and hug him and tell him that we'll talk about him more when he comes back. And yes, we're going to sit and have that conversation when he comes back. First of all, I'm going to take the name of that child, but I'm not going to go fighting the child or fighting the mother of the child. No, I'm teaching my son to be able to stand up for himself, because I'm not going to be there all his life. So he will learn to stand up to bullies. And trust me, he's going to meet a whole lot of bullies, not just here, in so many places, at work, as he's growing, wherever it is he meets, what is he supposed to do? That is the real teaching. That is you really equipping your child, not spoon feeding them and following them and fighting everybody on their behalf. I don't fight people on my children's behalf. I've hardly ever, even when there was a time one of my sons, I think it was my Lastino, was saying that, his teacher doesn't really like him, and he struggled. And I actually did believe it, because there are some things I was like, okay, yeah, this is a lot, but I didn't tell him, oh, your teacher is wicked, your teacher is bad. No, 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 no. I didn't tell him that. I told him, I kept telling him that, he was going to be okay, he was going to be fine. Because you cannot control the environment of your child every single time. You can't. So you have to see how, you just keep pouring into them. Just keep making so that they can stand up for themselves. They can fight for themselves. They can do this work on their own because you will not always be there. So all of these things that we suffered from, being sneaky, the people pleasing, we have difficulties setting boundaries. We feel like we can never say no. Our inner voice is constantly criticizing us. Oh, you're not good enough. Hey, Aisha, how can you do this? Oh, Memuna, how could you have done that? That's us talking to ourselves in a very mean way. Yes, when a friend comes and sits with us and tells us the same things that we did and we were so irritable at our behavior. A friend comes and tells us that same thing and you're like, subhanallah, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's normal now. Don't be hard on yourself. So we're even nicer to others than we are to ourselves. So can you see how it's the people closest to us and even ourselves that we're not being nice to? So these are issues we have to work on. And so the wounds we inflict on boys in the name of discipline often becomes the very behaviors we're trying to prevent. Behaviors like dishonesty, behaviors like aggression, behaviors like emotional shutdown. Because these are the same boys who tomorrow will not be able to talk to anybody. Look, check out the men in your life. How many of them have mentors? How many of them have people who are struggling, who when they are struggling, they can actually open to? Why am I talking mentors? Why am I talking coaches? How many of them even have friends that they can speak to? How many of them have friends that they can sit down and go to and say, I'm struggling with this, be it financial, be it emotional, because they have struggles just like us, even emotional struggles, even, pressure from work, pressure of this. Do you ever hear the men in your life speak about it? And we think our boys are going to be okay overnight. It is because of that work that wasn't done. That's why there's a repeat. And we do not want to, I am so about us breaking the cycle. I'm so about us saying that, see, it's not as if all of these problems go away. It's not as if life is going short. The problems are even getting more. But can we equip our children? Can we equip our sons to be able to handle these problems rather than just keep, them not knowing how to handle it? We are there shouting at them. They don't have the role models to show them how to do it. And then the cycle continues. So can we stand up and take responsibility? And that's why I'm inviting you. And that's why I'm inviting you to tell you that, see, we need to break this cycle. When you continue in this path, when you continue on this path of constantly punishing your child instead of disciplining him, you're creating the same wounds in your child. We think you're building character, but you're not, because broken spirits do not build strong character. Yes, broken spirits do not build strong character. A lot of us are working with broken spirits. A lot of us don't even believe that, there's something out there that is good for us today or even tomorrow. We're just living on autopilot. We're just broken inside. And that's why we bring that to our families. We bring that to our children. But I want to tell you, this is an invitation again that you should come to this course. For me, healing is everything. In short, I'm beginning to see how a healing course should have happened before even this course. Healing is everything. You would want to do things differently, but you cannot. There's a way it cripples you. You would want to do different things differently, but you cannot. You would have the best of intentions, but you find yourself doing the same thing over and over and over again. Why do you think people in very, very toxic relationships, they go back to it? Like the moment it happens, and the next thing, or maybe a flower. In Nigeria, they hardly even ever do flowers. Maybe they buy you shawarma, 2K shawarma. And then before you're not even ready to address the issue again. You're like, okay, it's done and dusted, it goes away. But did it really go away? You're able to take in all of these things because as a child, there was so much that was dumped on you and you took it in. And literally, it's like a cycle. So can you see why we need to break this cycle? So on this note, I'm going to draw the curtains today because we're supposed to do 20 minutes. I promised there was going to be a 20-minute session every time. We're hitting 30 minutes, but it's all fine. These are conversations that have to be had. And so tomorrow we'll come again with another topic just to shine light on the problems we're facing and how we can start to address these issues. When we start right there in class, it's going to be an intensive workshop. It's going to make us tear up. We're going to cry, and it's okay to cry. I know how much I have cried just for me to be able to build myself to this place where I'm like, okay, alhamdulillah, the path is clearer, than it used to be. There's something trauma does to you. Everything just gets all muddled up. But I'm able to say that this and put it in this compartment. This is it and put it in another compartment. This one is the one my child is struggling with and put it in another compartment. This is the compartment for a friend. This is the compartment even for my clients. I can't take on everything. If you, and that's why you're able to do so much and still be productive. You say that, God, don't worry, just come to class. Because I want to go into productivity. And even if you are living your life, to the what's it called? You're living your life at the highest level, even as you are. Are you really doing that? Are you really doing that? See, we're all a work in progress. And all I'm calling you to is just to come and share this progress with me. I've been able to move from where it was that I was to where I am today. And not just me. Alhamdulillah, I was able to move with my kids. And I'm telling you, come, let's go on this journey together. I am not waiting to be perfect to pull you. I literally am pulling you and let us grow together. Basically, that's my invitation to you. So to like come your way tomorrow again with another topic, and then we go on a break, and then we resume again on Monday. Yeah, that's me saying bye. Yeah, thank you.